Welcome, folks, to the next episode of BattleTech Simplified, Season 2. I'm Michael Schockman, I'll be your host and commentator, and in today's episode we will be covering the Capellan Confederation's attempt to make a dedicated heavy mech to break out of their medium bracket holding status that ended up, in the end, not really performing up to snuff. Today we will be covering the Cataphract. The Cataphract is a heavy battle mech and one of the first original designs since the start of the Succession Wars, though it had inauspicious beginnings. Desperate for a heavy mech design that their failing infrastructure could sustainably produce and maintain, the Capellan Confederation designed the Cataphract in 3025 to be assembled from parts that they could still manufacture. Dubbed a Franken-mech for its appearance, and using components up from the Marauder, the Shadowhawk, and the Phoenix Hawk, the Cataphract was set to become the Confederation's new standard heavy mech. It entered service just before the Fourth Succession War, when the production line on Tikhonov fell to the Federated Sons. This embarrassing failure was further compounded when many Davian units, including the Crucius Lancers, adopted the Cataphract as their own. However, the product quality from Tikhonov left the Federated Sons wanting, that is, at least in part due to deliberate obstruction by workers still loyal to the Confederation, but who's counting? It was not until 3032 that the Confederation finally replaced the lost factory with one on basically Beetlejuice, or Betelgeuse, as it's written here, producing their own Cataphracts in time for the enduring crisis. Shortly after conquering Tikhonov, the Federated Commonwealth began work on the CTF-3D, intended to stand toe-to-toe with an assault mech and to be as versatile as possible. Despite the upgrades, the CTF-3D was only marginally deployed by the armed forces of the Federated Commonwealth, and eventually relegated to the Crucius March militia as an insult to the Capellans. The onset of the clan invasion caused everything still in production, including the Cataphract, to be rushed to the front lines. For their part, the Capellans were able to produce the CTF-3D from stolen plans and went about creating their own variant, the CTF-3L, which would go on to make up 25% of all their newly acquired heavy mechs during the 3050s. In the years afterwards, use of the design would wane, though a few variants would continue to be produced as new technology and new demands arose. As for the weapons and equipment of the Cataphract, ladies and gentlemen, the longest ranged weapon carried by the CTF-3D Cataphract is a General Motors Nova 5 Ultra Cannon Type 5 in its right arm, boasting a rate of fire twice that of a standard autocannon. This is backed up by a Mydron XL LBX autocannon 10 in its right torso, capable of firing both solid and cluster rounds. It is a more popular weapon than the Ultra AC-5, especially for use in an anti-conventional and anti-aircraft role without the possibility of jamming. Finally, the mech has 4 Intech medium lasers for close-range defense, 1 in each arm, firing forward, and 2 in the torso, covering the rear. With only 2 tons of ammo for the LBX-10 autocannon and 1 ton for the Ultra 5 autocannon, if it runs dry, the Cataphract must fall back to be reloaded before continuing the fight. Lastly, 11 tons of armor combined with case allowed the Cataphract to easily absorb damage. 16 single heat sinks keep it cool, while 4 Hildco Model 12 jump jets give it a jumping distance of 120 meters. Room for these improvements was made by using a GM 280 XL engine. As for my personal feelings on the Cataphract, ladies and gentlemen, um, this is a mech that I have used. I have seen it being used, and frankly, it is just as bad as all the press gives it. It doesn't have the um the ammunition stores to really be able to do a decent amount of damage with its autocannons. It lacks any significant amounts of laser and energy based weapons to be able to fall back on. And unfortunately, it is a Franken mech, so you kind of get what you pay for. And when beggars can't be choosers, you can't expect much. So take that as you will. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you have enjoyed. If you have and you haven't already, please be sure to like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. Also, be sure to ring the bell icon so you never miss out whenever our episodes go live. Last but not least, leave a comment down below telling me what your thoughts on the Cataphract are. Do you think it's a Franken mech worthy of praise, or do you think it's a Franken mech not worthy of praise? Simply put. Anyway, guys, I'm Michael Shockman. I've been your host and commentator. Stay tuned for next week's episode when we cover the last episode in our section of things in the heavyweight bracket, that being the 75-ton weight bracket. And yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm Michael Shockman. I've been your host and commentator. And remember, as always, no guts, no galaxy. Later, everybody.